Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to another edition of Prime Hour on Mamidi Prime, the first for this week. This evening, we're going to be answering other questions also relating to the ongoing Anglophone crisis 6 years after. Why is it difficult to find a definite solution to the crisis despite attempts made by the government of Cameroon, despite the so many calls from international quarters? Who is not wanting an end to this crisis? On the second part of today's edition of the program, we are also going to be asking the question as to why the CDC is not giving due attention either by the government, as we also know that workers of CDC have been attacked severally and plantations rendered actually obsolete by the separatist leaders. If we think that the CDC is one of those lone institutions or corporations that the Anglophones can boast of, why do we attack and possibly want to destroy it? We are discussing this with the panelists who are in the house already. Kediat Robert Malangfe is in the house. He is a militant of the CPDM party. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you, sir. Good evening to my co-panelists. Special good evening to all those that have been putting on effort to ensure that this crisis comes to an end, especially some of us that we have been tapping names like Sellout, Black Legs, and the rest. It's 5 years on today. We've put our effort to ensure that Cameroon remains one and indivisible. Special greeting to all our brothers that are in the bushes with arms, which we still call on them to drop their arms, to join us so that we can build our beautiful nation, Cameroon. Mr. Leonard, it's a pleasure to be here.
We're also in the company of Prince Joel Mukage. He is a journalist. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening to you, Mr. Leo. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to the million telespectators of my Media Prime Television, particularly my Prime Hour. I want to send special greetings to Professor Boyomo Asalalura, Professor Emeritus and one-time Director of ASMAC, Advanced School of Journalism, Advanced School of Mass Communication, that's in the University of Yaoundé too, and to the peace-loving people of Mukage subdivision, the land of milk and honey where I come from, most particularly to Honorable Ngala Gerard, whom I'm sure the entire Dunga Manton is watching this program tonight. It's a privilege, Mr. Kumlina, to be there so that we can size up that from 2016, a crisis has started from dialogue where we had people who came together to bring up ideas. It has degenerated. It is no longer ideas. It is now guns. And it's a privilege that we shall be having one of those who attended the fourth summit of the recommendation of the follow-up so far as the major national dialogue is concerned, Paddy Asanga, who was in Cameroon from Germany to see how things work out. It's a privilege, Mr. Kumlinat, that I'm with you tonight.
We also are in the company of Mr. Njikang, Moses, who is a very key member of Cameroon Civil Society. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, co-panelists. I want to give a special good evening to the millions of televiewers out there. I want to greet particularly Mr. Njumbe Samuel, who is in Tombel watching us now live, Reggae Ewane, and most especially the section president for the Tombel area, Mr. Mbule Valentine, who is in the Betwa.
Okay.
Once again, good evening.
We also are in the company of Paddy Asanga, militant of the Social Democratic Front Party, who was in Cameroon. He just went back to be part of the fourth evaluation session of the recommendations of the major national dialogue. Good evening, Paddy Asanga, and welcome.
Good evening, Leo, and I will not start talking without congratulating you, the initiator of this program, and your promoter, Mr. Tambe. And it's a privilege to me to come to this panel and to congratulate all these young people. You see, I talk about young people because I'm the oldest on this panel as we speak. And that's the spirit which we are carrying forward and moving forward. And when you listen to them, you will understand that the dynamics have changed and we have to empower the youth. And I'm very grateful to be on this panel to answer your questions, to have debate, and to, you know, it is only when we contradict ourselves that we get the truth, because we don't come from the same school of thought. I see Killian is from CPDM, Prince Mukage is a journalist, a young, vibrant journalist. And the other panelist, I'm sorry if I did not retain his name, but I think we are going to have a fruitful debate, and the Anglophone voice is on board. That is what we call my major. I want to thank you and your promoter.
Thank you very much. We also are expecting Mr. Siaka Shuneh to join us in the course of this program, but we are also going to be having contributions from the president of the Southwest Youth League, Mr. Esua Kisito. I'll start with you, Prince Joel Mukage. How do we understand that 6 years and counting, the conflict is still raging on?
The truth is that, Mr. Leo, I said that the Anglophone crisis in 2016 was ideology. We have people like Agbo Felix in Congo. We had people like my lecturer taught me in the University of Buea, Fontem Niba, and a host of others. Now, it was an issue of ideologies. That is why you had the consortium. It's very true that the government termed the consortium illegal, arrested those who were part of the consortium, amongst them Nkongo Felix Agbo, whom I respect a lot. Now, the conflicts moved from that level, Mr. Leonard, to what it is today. Now, we are where we are today because an opportunity was given the government of Cameroon to have talks with these guys. Because if you talk with Nkongo Felix Agbo today, who is proposing an Anglophone president as an end to the Anglophone crisis, he will tell you that he had genuine intentions when he received the then Prime Minister of Cameroon, that was Philip Young in Bamenda, as well as other big CPDM guns. Now, the crisis has degenerated. It has degenerated, Mr. Leo, because we have a group of individuals. You have a guy yesterday who was an Okada rider who used to earn, say, 1,500 francs. I'm not minimizing the Okada riders. You have a guy who used to work in a construction site who used to earn 2,500 francs a day. Now, these guys are the guys who have picked up arms and they are in the bushes. The fact that they are in the bushes, and at times they feel that, okay, Prince comes from Mukage, Prince is in the village, and as such, if we kidnap Prince, Prince is a journalist, they can call his colleagues, they can call Mr. Leo and call other people. It's going to generate income. That is where we are today. And one thing I must say and reiterate, Mr. Leo, is I will never cease to blame the government for feet dragging. Feet dragging because we're not supposed to be where we are today. If the government showed good faith, first of all, when they held the consortium, which they termed illegal, they not only termed it illegal, arrested all members who were part of the consortium. Far from that, we had people who were part of the consortium, called people like Bobga Harmony, a barrister, call other people like Fontem Niba and a host of others who had to run out of Cameroon, and call people like Tasang Wilfred, who are today in Kondengi. Now, Mr. Leo, the conflict had moved from a mere dialogue to arms. And I feel that, Mr. Leo, the government also, I think it's in 2019, brought the major national dialogue. The president, in bringing up the major national dialogue, insisted and said that top on the agenda of the major national dialogue, the Anglophone crisis should be given priority. We want to remember that we saw people meet in Yaoundé. It was a conference I held, I'm sure, from September 30th to October the 5th. It was a long time for people to discuss. The first problem that was within the major national dialogue was the casting. The casting was that you do not take people who are not concerned. You do not take people who do not know what matters, because a majority of those who held top-ranking positions, so far as commissions were concerned, because if my memory has not failed me, there were 8 major commissions. Now, those who took part in those commissions were, not to minimize them, were little or not
okay,
those who actually mattered.
Okay. Now, specifically speaking, who does not want an end to the crisis?
The truth is, us from the Northwest and Southwest region started this, and us from the Northwest and Southwest are the ones to end it. The government is in Yaoundé, the administrators are there, we feel the pinch, we are the one that can say stop, and we are the one that can decide for it to continue. I'll give you an example. The people of Kambe have decided that they will not have that in their subdivision, and up to now, there is nothing in their subdivision.
It is still dotted.
Now, the people of Limbe have decided that there will be nothing in their division, and there is nothing in their division. And if any division decide, if the people decide that they don't want it, it will definitely stop. So it's the decision of the people. Now, when we talk about the people, we'll go back to the elite and the common man. The common man has his own influence, and the elite has the major influence. However, we should also know that there was a problem and there is still a problem. We know that there is a crisis, we know that there is the Anglophone problem, and we know that there is the problem of independence, the Ambazonia problem. There are three different problems. And the people actually are looking at the effort of the government, and they are ready to collaborate, because some are already collaborating. We've seen villages that are sending out Ambazonia fighters, beating them up, some arresting them and handing them over to the police. So we see the collaboration of the people. And we also have now where the elites need to come in. Now, I have this impression that when we talk about elites, many people think that when we talk about elite, we are talking about only the political elite or those that are administrators in Yaoundé. No, when we talk about elites, we have elite who is a successful person in his walk of life, that is successful, and the people want to be like him. We have political elite, we have social elite like pastor, priest, prophets, and we have cultural elites like our chiefs and the rest, and we have economic elites, big bourgeoisie business people that have succeeded in their business perspective of work. So these people have their own part to play, but the truth is that many of them are not playing their part. To be honest, especially those, I know when I say this, they will come hunting me again, especially those of the Northwest region, they are not playing their part.
Okay.
We see the effort of those in the Southwest region. We see how they call meeting every time. And I just saw that of the people, the elite of Lebi Alem, that they just did theirs. We saw effort, how they call meetings in the diaspora all over to ensure that this thing come to an end. We see collaboration with them and their people. When you see somebody like Field Marshal of Lebi Alem falling, I would not like to go into detail about it, but it is effort of elites that want this thing to come to an end.
Okay.
And that is the fact that I don't see in the Northwest region, which I think the elites there, they are supposed to put enough effort to ensure that this thing does not end. If they don't do it, I will say very clearly, the upcoming vibrant elites that are coming, that we all know them, that are struggling, will definitely take their place, even though that's not what they want, but that's what might happen.
Okay, Mr. Njikang, so many efforts have been made so far. Are they too little to cause the desired change that we all are longing for?
Mr. Combe, if your house is on fire, you need personally to put the greatest effort to see that the fire is quenched, especially in a situation where the firefighting brigade is nowhere to be found. Without chewing my lips and without mincing words, the Anglophones do not want the Anglophone crisis to end. And when I talk of Anglophones, I mean the ministers, Anglophone ministers, Anglophone governors, Anglophone secretaries of state, Anglophone parliamentarians. These are the people who don't want this crisis to end. I'll tell you something. I am drawing inspiration from history. These people are the ones parading the corridors of power in this country. But these people have decided to carry on an unsacrosanct concubinage with the government, which is killing their people, or which does not care about the suffering of the Anglophones, that is just interested in dissipating the colonial heritage of the Anglophones. Now, I'll take two examples, historical examples. I have once said on this platform that if in 1958 the government on Bida failed, Bida was forced to resign was because, one, Ahidjo, who was against the Northerners, he wanted to democratize the North. He wanted to transfer Christian civil servants from the South to the North in order to reduce the power of the Lamido. And what happened that day, that time, is exactly what is happening today in the Anglophone regions. Now, the Northerners never wanted all this. And what was their reaction? They reacted by saying they will cut off from French Cameroon and join Chad. Or they will want to be administered directly by France. Ahidjo, who saw this coming, asked 5 of his ministers to resign from the Mbida's government. 5 UC ministers. And when they resigned, Mbida went to his knees and he was out. Now, what am I saying? The crisis the Anglophones have, if they want this crisis to end now, those I have named, parading the corridors of power in this country, when they resign from the government, if the Anglophone ministers resign, the Anglophone parliamentarian boycott parliament, Mr. Bia and his government will look squarely into the eyes of the Anglophone problem. Let me tell you another example. When the ENS Marwa was launched in this country, the first batch of ENS Marwa, the Northerners, the Grand Nord, they thought it was their affair. It was their school. And the first recruitment into that school, they did not see themselves occupying 80% of the candidates taken for that school. What happened and curiously, parliamentary session was going on in Yaoundé. The northern parliamentarians all boycotted, they threatened to boycott parliament. And Mr. Bia signed a decree organizing another exam into that same school. So you see now that the number increased from 200 they needed was 400 that year. Now what I'm saying is this. These are parameters to bring the government to solve a particular problem. And so if Anglophone ministers, governors, parliamentarians want this government to discuss the Anglophone problem, it shall be done, Mr. Kuhn.
Okay. I don't know, maybe. Paddy Asanga, good evening once again. Is Mr. Njikang wants ministers and MPs to resign, but they're resigning in defense of what? Of the Anglophone crisis or the Ambazonia crisis? Is that not where the trick is? Because what are you defending?
Leo, Mr. Njikang is a bit confused. He has some points, but he's a bit confused. And because we have, the Anglophones have 2 problems. We have the Anglophone crisis, which is genuine, which is a legitimate crisis that can be resolved. And then we have the Ambazonian terrorism issue that has came with that metamorphose from the Anglophone crisis. You have to understand that there is a subsection of Anglophones who call themselves Ambazonians, who go around, kidnap people, decapitate them, desecrate every institution that we came with from Nigeria, and then they say they want to get independence, and the international community will come and make them. They have 50 presidents, they have 60. I don't know the number of presidents, I don't know the number of generals that they have. So Mr. Njikang should try to put all those things in context. But I seriously think that the Anglophone crisis is a genuine cause that can be resolved by the way we left from Nigeria, by an Anglophone focus. Maybe that's what he's trying to put it, but he doesn't have the words to articulate it. And what do I mean by an Anglophone caucus to accept your question? Remember, at a certain time, the SDF and some other opposition party went up marching in Bamenda in Boya. Had it been the CPDM, the members of CPDM of the Anglophone extraction of the Northwest and Southwest extraction march with us, it would have been a different ballgame today. Had it been when Honorable Nietzsche said, let's call for the solidarity march that was rubbished by a Francophone who went and was negotiating with France, was respected or he called his militant, then the ball game would have been different today. So we should not mix up the Anglophone crisis with this scam that they call Ambazonia. Ambazonia is a scam. They tell you that Ambazonia is a scam. It's not Paddy who is talking. And they are killing themselves. So we should not mix up things when we come on serious platform like this and we start saying because of our emotions, left, right, center. No, I am not a favorite. I think that an Anglophone should be the president. I believe in extreme federation because we have two post-colonial identities that bring us together, because I could have also been a Nigerian. So we should not come and be talking things without getting into the depth of it or without putting them in context. Coming to your question, what I want to say is, Mr. Leo, your question should be, I don't want to teach you journalism, but you know, I'm just trying to put it the way I look at it. Who is benefiting from the insecurity in the Northwest and Southwest region, not who doesn't want peace. It's a problem of insecurity, not a problem of who doesn't want the problem to be solved. It's a problem of insecurity and the beneficiary of insecurity. That's what we should be talking about. And if you want to ask me questions in that light, I will answer you. Without which, I will listen to your panelists and I will come in to give my own contribution. I'm listening to you, Mr. Leo.
Yes, the question as to who benefits is going to come, but I wanted us to first establish where we think there are hurdles to efforts at aimed at stopping the war. Let's take a first reaction from the Southwest region of the Southwest Youth League President, Mr. Esua Kisito, who will tell us what he thinks is wrong for an effective ending of the crisis.
Well, thank you, Mr. Leo. Welcome to Boya. Thank you for giving me this opportunity on my Media Prime to express my feelings as to the ongoing Anglophone crisis, which has been plaguing the Northwest and Southwest region of Cameroon since Monday, 21st of November 2021. My name is Esua Kisito. I want to start by answering your first question as to why we've not had any major, solution to the ongoing crisis despite the effort put in place by the government. You see, the time has come for us to be very, very factual and say things the way they are or the way they are supposed to be said. It's true that since the crisis erupted, the government has put in a lot of measures as to giving way to success as far as this crisis is concerned. But the layman on the ground, especially in the hinterlands of the Southwest region where I am based, has not felt the impact that much. I will put the blame on three categories of persons. It's true that the government has done a lot and is still doing a lot, but I feel that on the part of the government, there has been some lapses as far as communication is concerned. The government has not communicated that much. Most of the decisions taken by the government as to resolving this present crisis have not reached the action. Yeah, I think as far as the question as to who really has the common man at heart in all this tussle is concerned, I want to be very, very brief. From observation, I realize that there are some persons who are benefiting fatly from this crisis and are blocking every peace initiative that can lead to the end of the crisis. The common man is at his or her own mercy, as I can say, because very few persons have demonstrated goodwill in the restive regions of Northwest and Southwest. Very few elites and persons have demonstrated goodwill. I have the impression that they are not telling the head of state what is actually happening on the ground. And if that is the case, it means they want the thing to continue so that they keep benefiting, reaping the huge economic war benefits. So as far as that is concerned, as I initially said, the common man has been left to their mercy to see how they can survive. Because you see, people come, I really pity, permit me mention a name here, I really pity the governor of the Southwest region, because he's putting in a lot of efforts, but he's not getting that support from his people. He's not actively involve the youths in this fight. They should go down to the communities, like I said the other day, get the local population fully involved, and then this crisis would sooner or later come to its logical end. And then again, there should be that sincere dialogue from the grassroots. The government should engage in dialogue from the grassroots. We should not neglect anybody. It's true there was a major national dialogue which took place, but I think dialogue is not an event. Dialogue is a process. By implication, I'm saying that dialogue is not a one-day thing, it's continuous. Then, lastly, I know this category of persons may not like what I will say, but like as somebody who has been on the ground from the start of this crisis, I feel the pinch and I know exactly what I am talking about. I take responsibility for my words. I want to lay emphasis in my region. The elites of the region have not helped the situation big time. I think that the state has to do something as far as this is concerned. The state has to get the elites mobilized so that they go back to their various communities and do the sensitization. So I really feel that especially the political class elites of the Southwest, they should take their responsibility. That responsibility is theirs. They should not just wait, and when it is time for elections, they start rushing back to the communities left and right to see how they can mobilize people for electoral campaigns and so on and so forth. Us to see them. This is a time that the elites, the political class, are supposed to go to their people, win their consciences, so that by the time the next electoral activities are coming up, they should have something to show for, to tell their people that I did this. It is thanks to me that this was achieved. So I think the elites of the region are supposed to be held accountable massively as to why, or at very high quarters, as to why this crisis has not come to an end in the Southwest region for close to 6 years now. So, in summary, I've held 3 categories of persons responsible as to why this crisis is still dragging. The government has failed, has not done much as far as communication is concerned. Secondly, the youth themselves have not contributed what they are supposed to do to bringing this crisis to an end. So I'm challenging the youths of the region to take their responsibility, mobilize themselves. I'm not saying that they should go to the bush and fight Amber. I'm not saying that they should go to the bush and fight the secessionists. What I'm saying is that it is about communication. It is about a change of mindset. Let's talk to our brothers and sisters. Let's give them reasons. And then again, the government should create an enabling environment. The government should create opportunities whereby these youths can get jobs. I'm not saying that the government should provide them jobs. There is no nation in the world that the government employs everybody. If the government creates that enabling environment, these guys will see reasons why they should drop these guns and get themselves back to the society. Like I said the other day, as far as the getting that support from the elites who are supposed to accompany him in making sure that this crisis comes to an end. By implication, it's very clear that it's just a few persons who have that feeling for the layman, because I have observed, I have moved around, I talk to people, and they are just there. So that's my point of view. That's all what I have to say as far as that particular issue is concerned. Thank you. Talk to their people. When they can convince their people will convince these guys who have these arms. Of course, they have human feelings. They have consciences and hearts, just like any other person. So the task, I think.
Okay, we'll be coming back to you, the president of the Southwest Youth League, Esua Kisito, later in the program. But now, we are 6 years into a conflict and it's not ending. Is it also not because it is difficult to actually understand today what to fix? Because there was the Anglophone crisis, Today we have an Ambazonia issue where people say, okay, it's Anglophone marginalization that we want it to be fixed. Others say we want a separate state. Does it not also make things a little bit ambiguous?
Sure, Mr. Liu, I said in my introductory statement here that the Anglophone crisis was an issue of words. It has transformed from the consortium to guns and what we have today. And I want to cue in what Paddy Asanga was saying. What the Englishman, the Anglophone, because I'm one of those who believe strongly for it, what Paddy was saying is that what the Anglophones are fighting is legitimate. Legitimate because on the 11th of February 1961, you have a group of persons called Southern Cameroons who decide via the UN, the United Nations, give them two questions. Do you want to gain independence by going to La République, an already independent country? Or do you want to gain independence by going to La République du Cameroon? By then, Nigeria is already president. The people are in Nigeria, called Southern Cameroons. Or do you want to go to the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Now, you have people like Achirimbi of Bafut who said that, to me, Nigeria is fire and French La République is water. I prefer succession. Actually, me of Bafut saw what we are fighting today. The sorry locking.
Now you are fighting for secession today.
We are not fighting for secession, Mr. Liu. I am not. I want to come. Permit me develop my ideology.
Yeah, but
well, this is what I want to say, Mr. Liu.
We have to.
Mr. Liu, this is what I'm saying.
Now, I want to.
I'm developing what your question is. The government has several funds. The government has several funds. Why did we get here, Mr. Liu? I want to answer your question. I want to answer your question by saying that, how did we get here?
Yeah, but we have been discussing this thing every day.
No, Mr. Liu, what I just said.
We are looking at a specific topic.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you just answer? Because all of these guys will have to talk.
Yeah, what I want to say today, Mr. Liu, is we started in something that was, I used to give this very simple example. You have a child who is hungry, you ask for food. The Anglophones, who are Southern Cameroonians, asked the government of Cameroon that when Southern Cameroons met La République du Cameroon, it was agreed, untouched, that should the president of this union be from French-speaking Cameroon, let his vice be from Southern Cameroon. That is the law. You don't touch it. Now, we are here where we are today, Mr. Liu, because the crisis has degenerated because the government showed bad faith. The government felt that it could play on the intelligence of a people who felt they were gentlemanly with their brothers. If you read the resignation letter of Njikang from the CPDM, permit me tell you that Njikang was the vice president of the CPDM political party. When you read Njikang's resignation letter, he tells you that the people whom I brought to meet you are today called les ennemis de la maison. Now, when you have several fronts, Paddy Asanga said it, and I want to tell with him. Mr. Liu, we have people today, the last time on this your platform, I remember you told me, Prince, don't call names. We have people today who own companies in the diaspora. They are the people who don't want the crisis to end. It means they have moved from a legitimate demand of the people. They are now making money from it. And I made a statement before now that we have a group of guys, Mr. Liu, who maybe say truck pushers, who maybe say Okada riders, who maybe say guys who are working in the shanty. These are guys today who can boast of 10 million, 20 million. Now, the government is even asking itself, who do I talk with? It's difficult to get who to talk with. Why? When you even look at, I think Kedia cited an example of Field Marshal in Libya. It's even difficult to place a hand on who actually killed Field Marshal. Why? Because today we have a group of persons who are fighting themselves. And I feel that we are where we are today because the government from the start did not identify those who talk with. I feel that, Mr. Liu, when you have programs like this 6 years on, it is not late. We know the demands of the Anglophones. We know those the government can talk with. The government does not have several fronts. The several fronts that are coming up today are people who are fighting for their own selfish interests. There are not people who are fighting for the Anglophone crisis. There are people who are fighting for their stomachs. Mr. Njikang said something which is very, very important. Mr. Liu, we have people today who are parliamentarians. We have people today, you agree with me that a certain ministry that used to be called the Ministry of, for instance, of Territorial Administration and Decentralization has been slipped up. We have decentralization called a ministry, and we have territorial administration, which is a ministry. Now, all these are fallouts of the Anglophone crisis. We have a lot of developments. That's why I'm saying that, Mr. Leo. What I'm saying is that for us to go back, it will be a bit difficult. Difficult, Mr. Leo, because a lot of persons are already benefiting from the crisis.
But my question, I was struggling to cue you to the question because you were already going out. My question still stands, but I will not ask it to you.
Mr. Leo, let me answer your question, please.
No.
Even for 2 minutes. Even for 2 minutes. Let me answer your question. Let me answer your question for 2 minutes. What's your question to me, sir? Mr. Leo, let me answer your question.
My question is that, are we dragging because it is also very difficult to actually identify what to sort out? There is the issue of marginalization that Anglophones are decrying, and today there is Ambazonia.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Leo. Let me vividly answer before Keja picks up the mic. The issue is very difficult to determine who says what today. Very difficult. Why? Because one thing I must tell you that the Anglophone problem is not an issue of roads. It's not an issue of pipe-borne water. It's not an issue of appointments. Maybe persons get lost. We have more GOs, more governors. The Anglophone problem is simple. The people met on the 16th of, or rather on the 11th of February, decided that we are coming as one man. Now today, we have a cross-section of people whom for their personal interest. I also want to feel that the government on one part may be correct. Correct, because it's difficult to determine who to talk with. But the problem would have been solved, very simple. The problem would have been solved if the government gave room for the all Anglophone conference that Christian Cardinal Tumi wanted to hold. If the government allowed Christian Cardinal Tumi to hold his all Anglophone conference, the objective of the conference, Mr. Leo, was to determine everybody come and sit.
Yeah, but even that was not endorsed by the separatists then. Yeah, I mean.
Now, what for me, my own analysis that I have from all this is the fact that there's a different from the crisis. There's a crisis. The Anglophone crisis is even different from the Anglophone problem. And it's even different from the separation and independent problem. Can I talk, please? No. They are different.
The problem gave rise to the Anglophone crisis. Let us be.
Can I proceed now? The Anglophone crisis here is just normal as trade union that revendicated. Teachers brought their revendication. Lawyer brought their revendication. Trade unionist revendication. That is what it has problem. Can I talk?
It is the Anglophone problem that gave birth to the Anglophone crisis.
Everybody listen to you now.
Sorry, sir.
Yes. Go on.
These are trade unionists that were not happy. Like, for instance, you saw lawyers saying that Ohada was supposed to be translated from French to English. Teachers came up to say we have teachers teaching in French-speaking teachers teaching in school. Those are trade unions that came out to revindicate, and we know what actually happened. Many of them, I don't want to go to the case of the University of Boya, what happened with students there and all the rest. Now we have the Anglophone problem. The Anglophone problem are those that believe that we moved from a federal system that we agreed in the union, and we have now changed it and moved to something else that they believe that we should go back to it. We can still be in federation, and trade unions of teachers and lawyers are not happy. So it is different. The crisis is because they were not happy with the system. Now you go now to the Anglophone problem now, which many believe that going back to the federal system could be a solution, because they believe that many aspects of that agreement of Fumban has been changed. That's those that believe. That's for me the genesis of the Anglophone problem. Then you go now to those that believe in separation. Before reunification, the problem of separation already existed. When we left the Eastern Regional crisis of 1953, and many people had their own views. Some wanted us to join Nigeria. Some wanted us, PM Kale wanted us to be as a separate state. I believe Professor Victor talked about it when he was there. That ideology of being independent was there. It existed. But since he did not have many support, it failed in 1958, and he, PM Kale, was forced to join Foncha and Estimona to vote for us to join La Republique. So that ideology of independence was there already. So those are the three ideologies that are growing. Now coming to the solution which the government have made. With regards to the crisis, which I said is the problem of trade unions.
Trade unionists, yes.
Yeah, trade unionists. Now, the main complaint was the fact that a teacher went into a lycée in Bamenda and wrote chemistry teacher, he went there, Francophone, and he wrote Chimie. And the student thought it was a sub topic in chemistry. So this problem was there. And one of the solutions the government brought was the employment of, I think, 2,000 bilingual teachers, which I know the government put in place. And with regard of the problem of lawyers saying that they are Francophone magistrate and the rest, the government have been taking in 50 magistrates, only Anglophone, and 20 court register for the past 4 years to ensure that that problem is being settled with regard to the crisis. Now, with regards to the problem, the government believe that there are culture, House of Chiefs that were being respected, accepted in Fumban, because those were the clauses that were accepted in Fumban. Most of the clause was like, if the president is from the west, the vice president should come from the east. There are people revendicating that. We had vice president, which had voice to speak. And now we're having a prime minister, which the constitution says the president has the power to change his minister as he will. So we have people that are revendicating those aspects of the 1961 Fumban constitution, which I believe is the problem. Now the government has engaged many aspects. We have now the House of Chiefs, which we had it when we were still with the British. The government believed that the House of Chiefs, if being put in place, it will be respected. The regional assemblies can control their educational system and judicial system. Those are the aspects that we have in place. Then now we have those that believe in separation, that we see them fighting, which they have been calling them to lay down the arms and come to discuss. Now, when you analyze this theory, you will see the various positions that the government has been bringing. Now, my own point as an individual, which I am here to always say, and I always say, is the fact that these boys that have picked up arms,
drop them.
They should drop them.
Come to the government.
Discuss and bring final solution. You people have picked up arms. You are killing your own brothers. Mr. Leo, I will say these things. You kill your own brother and you say Yaoundé should come and see what you are doing. You burn your own brothers, their car. You rape your own sisters. You cut their hands, their limbs because they are going to school. And you say Yaoundé will feel the pinch. Where is Yaoundé? Is Yaoundé a person? You kill your own brothers, you take them for ransom. You ask an old man to give you assistance for the struggle he does not have. You take his daughter into the bush for your sexual satisfaction, and you say you are fighting for the people. Now we the Anglophones now are being looked as if we are more barbaric, because look at what you do, and you are saying that you are fighting for the interests of the people.
Mr. Njikang, I will stay with you now. If they were to tell you squarely, where are we with the Anglophone problem? Which one is the way out of solving the Anglophone problem?
Yes, Mr. Leo.
How do you sort out the Anglophone
yes,
problem?
Mr. Leo. Let me answer Paddy Asanga. He is more confused than he thinks I am. Because the theme for this evening is who do not want the Anglophone crisis
to end.
That is the theme. And from my analysis, I am spot on. Good. And that's why he could not say anything. He babbled around and then finally gave the microphone off. Now, it is said, Mr. Leo, if you want a he-goat to move faster, what do? Take a soldier ant and put and clip on its testes. That he-goat will move more than you can imagine. And if I say, and I'm not mincing what I'm still repeating, the government is like that he-goat that does not want to move. And the soldier ant are the Anglophone ministers, the Anglophone parliamentarians who are courtshiping with this same government, who is interested in seeing Anglophones dissipate from Cameroon. They should tender their resignation. That he-goat will move on. What is going on is the government's unwillingness to solve the Anglophone problem. Mr. Kedia made mention of some concessions granted by the government. But are these concessions long-lived? They are short-lived. Because he says for the past 4 years, Anglophones have been majoritarily taken into Inam. I wish this should continue till your children. And how can that be if a clear consensus is reached between the Anglophones and the Francophones on quota intake in every aspect of recruitment in this country? That the Anglophone, you have 30% of whatever, if it is the soldier How many percent? 30% of recruits will come from the Anglophone. If it is into a NAM, 30% it is statutory. Not like a concession, like Mr. Bia have done. I'm not for concession. Nobody gives me concession in this country. And Anglophone does not demand. Please, I am discussing. I've never interrupted you when you were babbling. So allow me go to the end. You look at me. I am different from you. I'm not practicing bigotry. Where I think my idea must prime. Where here the populace is there. Listen to us.
Go ahead.
Good. So what I'm saying is that I don't want cosmetic solution. Nobody gives an Anglophone concession. Who is a Francophone to give concession to Anglophones? People who came together on equal status. Then one will prime now and say, I'm giving you concession. In which capacity?
You are the government, not Francophone.
In which capacity?
Yeah, but are we talking about the government?
Now,
not Francophones.
I am talking. The government owns the upper hand in the crisis, in solving the crisis.
Not Francophones.
Please.
No, that's what I'm saying. When I mean the government, the majority is Francophones.
No, government is government.
Mr. Njikang, I will not want us to push the divide here. Just make your points, please, without indexing.
I have said, and I'm still repeating, let Anglophone ministers, governors, parliamentarians drop their pens. You will see the next minute.
They will not. Please.
That's what I mean. And they will not because they are the ones gaining.
Please. I want us to be clear.
They will not because they are benefiting from the blood of their
people. They were voted by people and they are saving their people. I will not tell my parliamentarian elected by people.
I am not come to make noise here, please.
They were elected by people.
You are making noise. I'm not come to make noise. I have not come to make noise.
They were elected by people.
Listen, young man. I have not come to make noise. I've come to pass on.
Telling them to resign is
that is their problem. I've not hung any rope on their neck to resign. But I am saying that if you want a he-goat to move faster,
Mr. Njikang, please.
You stick a soldier ant on the testes and it will move. And the soldier ants here are the destination of these people. I've given you historical facts where the government had to bow when people resigned.
Mr. Njikang,
I'm not making flimsy
Mr. Njikang, please.
Statements on the air.
Yeah, let's calm down. You want ministers and MPs?
Yes, to resign.
Yes, so that what should be addressed?
Important problems, Mr. Leo, are addressed in the National Assembly.
Okay.
Good. So important problem in any state are addressed by the National Assembly. Now, if these people tender this issue, that today, this parliamentary session, the Anglophone crisis must be discussed.
Yes.
It will be.
Okay. So, Mr. Njikang wants that the MP should push for this to be sorted out. Paddy, yes, Paddy Asanga. Now, you think that according to you, I was supposed to ask just one question: who is benefiting from the crisis that is causing it not to be stopped? And I'll ask that question to you now: who is benefiting from it? People like you now.
Yeah, you could say that scavengers like myself who are sitting here in the diaspora and running their basket now, they are benefiting from it. That is a legitimate claim. Because I would tell you that I am a militant of the Social Democratic Front, and I would not have been running in the mouth fighting for one Cameroon if people did not pick up arms. So if you want to weigh it one way or the other, you could also say that people like Asanga are benefiting from it. But I have listened to Mr. Njikang saying that people should resign. I don't know his job. I don't know if he's a civil servant. I don't know where he's working. Maybe if he resigns from his position, whatever he's doing, in solidarity with the Ambazonians, then what they are going to independence become. Because we are talking about the life of individual. So,
mention those who have to resign. No, not civil servants. I've mentioned the names, the portfolio of people to resign.
Mr. Njikang, let him develop his point.
No, you should not say I should. You don't know what I do.
Are you going to pay them? People who have built their careers for so many years, you want to tell them to resign because you have sent boys into the bushes and out of 6 years, you hijack a cooperative movement and then you give arms to Banga Smokers and you start telling people to resign. You to resign the sign of solidarity in what you are doing, no matter in which domain you are. That's what I've been saying for many years, Mr. Njikang. Are you getting me? Please.
What are you saying even? What are you saying? What do you think you are saying?
Paddy Asanga, can you now answer my question? Who is benefiting
Answer the question.
from this? No, please.
What is he saying?
Paddy, please.
Yes. Leo, I would plan the decoration. You know, I don't have a lead in front of my mouth. You understand? You cannot expect somebody who has blood on his hands to say that he will give up. What will he do? He will amass as much wealth as he can and run to Nigeria or to Ghana or to Dubai. You will not expect somebody who is living like me in the diaspora who is paying his mortgages from GoFundMes, from my trip to Boya, my trip to DLM, World Draft, and so on, to tell you that he will give up, he will stop the crisis. You will not expect a brigade commander. I told you this thing in 2017, that he would tell you that this crisis, they will come and put in fake reports in Burundi and tell you that this is the solution because we have refused. Leo, answer me this question. Why do you think that they change the brigadier generals in the northwest and south? What was all that necessary if things were working well? Because it was a business. I know on your platform you don't want me to call it, but I will paint the scenario for you to understand what is happening. Because you cannot tell me that you heard audios where military personnel were complaining that they were going to get people and they stopped them. Then you also have audios where fighters or generals, how many, about 2,000 Amba generals, they told you that we have every information, we know that they are coming, and then we are monitoring them, we know when their convoy is arriving, and then they plant bombs and all sorts of crazy stuff. Those are the people who are benefiting from the situation. You will not expect somebody who has never had a job in Europe to say that he is conceding something. Do you think that they told you that this thing is going to last for 30 years? Is it Paddy who said it? Yo, please, that's rhetorical. Is it Paddy who said it? And what do you expect somebody who has a business concept for 30 years to do? To tell you that all of a sudden you come and be clapped. No, I have repented. People have repented. People have followed the call of Cardinal Christian Cardinal to me, and the ultimate is going to happen. There's going to be a coalition of women, and you understand that I have been on all fronts, and I also think that at this point, Anglophones should work with a coalition of willing. I don't know how much power the Prime Minister John Gute has to convene Anglophones, bring everybody of every walk of life on the of opinion to come and sit down and in the light of an Anglophone general conference. Because you also want, it is an open secret that I was there at the Prime Minister's office last week, where we sat there, and the only advantage, the only thing I saw from that meeting, contrary to national dialogue, that they were Anglophones talking to themselves, apart from Eugene Benambela, the Minister of Foreign Relations, and then Lele Lafri, and then Okala Bilai. But the rest were all Anglophone. Why do you think that I should boycott a meeting that Anglophones in their vast majority sit down and should talk to themselves? So that is the configuration of Christian Cardinal to me. And we also seriously think that if the Prime Minister, we know that the Prime Minister doesn't have a lot of power, but if he can use his political wisdom and bring Anglophones, even in a Zoom conference, where everybody will sit down, people like you, people like Njikang, people like Prince, my friends who are here in diaspora, to sit down and air out their opinions, articulate their aspirations, because one thing is very clear, there is no thing that is going to exist like ambassador. We can obtain something, but something that we can obtain. We can obtain it politically and collectively. So we have to rebuild that political capital that back from 2016 from the consortium, because every single Anglophone was listening to the consortium. If you ask them today, they will tell you that there is an arm wing of the consortium and there is a civil wing of the consortium. So we have to look at things from those dimensions. I don't want to get into infighting, fight anybody on your platform, but I think the people who don't want these things to end are people who have budget, and there are also people who are sitting here in the diaspora collecting money, and boys and girls who have never had jobs. And kidnapping for ransom has been a very lucrative business. It is not for people. Ayabacho told you that they have turned to petty criminals. Ebenezer also told you that. Sako and Chris Anu with Barrister Fusion, so they came and told you that this boy, Alaji, was a strong criminal in Tanka, and when they killed some of the Ambazonian boys, they celebrated and so on and so on. We Anglophones, we have to look for a way, and this time around, we have to use reason and not emotion. I think I would answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Paddy Asanga. Greetings to all of you. Aiden Vioff, watching from Halifax in Canada, says, hello, Mr. Leo and the entire panelists. Most of the so-called generals in the bushes were brainwashed and promised high-level positions when they finally get their so-called independence. That has been one of the main messages brainwashed by so-called leaders here in the diaspora. But right now you see most of the guys deciding to denounce and join the DDR. I've discovered that they were being lied to. Right now the deal has already been done, and hopefully the government can solve this issue with an open, inclusive dialogue with the third-party nation as moderator. Okay, good evening to you, Aiden. This one's good evening to you guys watching on our Facebook handle. Those appreciating and those insulting, that is also the spice of life. It shows how vibrant our sense of Anglophoneness now is. Yes, so you can insult as much as possible, you can criticize as much as possible, but just know that we should learn to love, forgive and tolerate one another. Yes, how should we get the ants, like he said, on the testes of a he-goat, so that we push, almost everybody push this thing towards its end?
The Anglophones?
Yes, the Anglophone crisis. How do we get the ants in the, so that on the testes of the key stakeholders to push for an end to the crisis?
All right, there is something that my brother Acadia said before now. You know, Mr. Liu, an elite in my own little definition is someone who has the economic strength or the political strength. When I talk of economic strength, it's someone who has the finances. When I talk of political strength, I'm talking about the parliamentarian, I'm talking about the minister.
Those who have power.
Those who have power. Thank you for that word, Mr. Liu. Now, I think that we are still where we are today because a small prince that I am goes to Mr. J and I'm shouting, people are not hearing. But imagine, for instance, that the minister from that my area goes and tells the people, today, all of you come out. Tell me what you want. I'm taking it straight to Yaoundé. The people will tell him. So I think that it is time that those who represent the Anglophones, I listened to Mr. Esua, he said something from Buya. It is time that those who represent the people, they should go back to their communities. They should be able to talk to the people. What do you want? Prince, when I listen to you on TV, I see you vibrating. You can even fight with Mr. Leo. What is your problem? I'll tell the minister, Mr. Minister, I speak like that because I read my small history. I listened to Professor Julius Ngo, who had a one-on-one with Mr. Leo, and I felt that there was a gentleman agreement that has been breached. Now, when these people collect this and take back to Yaoundé, we are one step to the crisis. But if the people who matter think that what they care about is their stomach, if the people who matter cannot represent the people, because Mr. Leo, there was a time that we're discussing regional councillors on this platform. And I told you that I had to call my people from my small community in Nsah subdivision. People don't know that they have a councillor. This is because after the crisis, the president, in good faith, President Paul Biya, in good faith, many persons may think, okay, print something like that. The president in good faith felt that, okay, the people need their House of Chiefs because the House of Chiefs had existed in Southern Cameroon. He gave the people the House of Chiefs. The people need regional councillors. He gave them. But now, when you look at the reality, what was the criterion used to select those who have become members of House of Chiefs? Were they first class, second class, or third class? We had persons who were handpicked by their different ministers from their different areas and made members of the House of Chiefs. We had people who met in Bamenda and met in Boya and became regional councillors. Their people don't know them. They don't even know that they are regional councillors. And I said on this your platform last time that I have people, some of whom even come from my area, who are regional councillors at the same time delegates. The people, when you come to the village, the people are looking at you as the delegate of a certain ministry, as come whose name I don't want to call. They don't know that you are coming as the regional councillor of their area. But now, if you come back with your people and you tell the people that during the major national dialogue, the president said it is time for us to have, for instance, a public independent conciliator. And that the job of the public independent conciliator is to solve your problem, Prince and the mayor. The commoner, I know it. But I'm looking at my mother who is selling granules in Mukage market. I'm looking at the commoner who is selling tomatoes and onions. They don't know those things. It's BB grammar. When you come and tell people, okay, we have left from the government delegate to the city mayor, Mr. Leo, I think that, Mr. Leo, to learn, I just feel that it is time that those things that we arrived at, Kecha took time to elaborate some. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty. But now, go to the common man. Okay. Tell him that this person is no longer the government delegate, is the city mayor. Tell the person that the city mayor is the chief executive officer of the area and is synonymous to the governor.
What stops the regional assembly presidents themselves, the city mayors, to go and explain these things to them? What stops them?
That's the million-dollar question that I'm pushing them, Mr. Leo. And I'm saying that it is time they, for instance, the area where I come from, the regional councillor is a delegate. That when he goes to the village, he's going to Mr. J. Don't say you're a delegate, Mr. Man.
Is there no community radio there? They should go there.
There is Mr. J community radio that was inaugurated by the Minister of Post and Telecommunication by then Jean-Pierre BTBSM. And I'm thinking that, Mr. Leo, the problem, like I said, is we have people. If Mr. Leonard leaves today and goes to his village, Esua, the people are looking at him as a son of the area. They're not looking at you as the director of my media prime. So it's time that we made a cut line between you as a journalist, Prince, and somebody who comes from that area. Talk to the people.
Yes, but how do we sort these things out? Almost everybody's indexing the elites, and how do we get the elites to go back? They fear for their lives too.
No. When we talk about elite, I not want to talk about the social elite. Let's go straight to the political elite, because I believe that those are the people we are talking about, those that have been elected. If actually you have been elected by the people, then it's easier for you to go back to the people, and there are many ways to go back to the people and talk with them. We have elites that they go back to their people, they participate. We are on school breaks now, there are football going on, there are parliamentarians that are back in their hometown, that they are there discussing with their people, and they are planning for back to school going on. If you want, I'll be calling their names. We have people like Honorable Jingu Musa that just left from DOP. It was not easy. His presence there was not easy. Being in DOP was not easy. Then we have people that like Honorable Ngala Gerard, which we all know is putting a lot of effort. And we have others. I don't know if they don't have the means or what is actually going on, but there are many means in which they can talk to their people and bring peace back. Some of them are not doing it. And you see them when September will come, Mr. Leo, they'll start to be running up and down, going to say school should go. Because when these separate guys are ahead, they have already given their own date for back to school. They are not doing anything. So that is where we are saying that the elite need to actually do their job to ensure that things come back to normalcy, especially those that have been elected. The others that are administrative ministers, they are administrators. They are there to execute the vision of somebody. Yes.
They were appointed by the head of state.
The head of state, and they
hold them accountable because they look up to them like they are God.
You hold an elected official accountable.
The president was elected. He has appointed them. Yeah.
Yeah, we hold an elected official accountable and not an administrator.
But the administrators decide who become elected.
We
That's
should
the irony
be
of it.
clear about it.
The administrator decides who becomes elected.
Go on.
That's how it works in
Go on,
government.
go on.
Your opinion, but I don't
It's
know.
not my opinion. I'm speaking from an area where I come from. I know it works.
Oh, I am talking
The
about
mayor,
the
the parliamentarian decided from.
You have explained this now. Let him talk now.
The mayor and the parliamentarian, Mr. Leo, are decided upon by the minister who comes from Yaoundé.
Please help facilitate my job now.
Thank you, sir.
Go on.
So what I'm saying is that for peace to come, we have two groups of people. One, we have those that have been elected by the people and they have to listen to the call of the people to bring back peace. And secondly, we have our brothers that are in the bushes that they need to drop their arms and bring back peace. You can revindicate, you can do your social disobedience, you can do anything, but please don't pick up arms and you kill people. It's against the fundamental human rights. So those are the two people that we need them to come to the table and understand that violence will never actually bring peace. The government, the president of the republic and all the officials actually that we all have them coming to say they should resign. I struggle to get a perspective. What impact would their resignation have to do with the government? Are we now at this level struggling to have many positions in the government, or we are struggling to resign? Are we actually now struggling that the next president of the republic should be an Anglophone, or we should be at the level of talking about resigning? That is the point. That is the point. Which when I see many elites coming up to say, hey, there's people are struggling about transition, we should look into it so that us of the Northwest and Southwest will have our space in there. And we come and preach resignation again at this moment? No, that is not what we should be preaching to our people. We should be able to tell our brothers to stop violence, because the violence they are doing is actually the one that is hampering us. Because they have when we talk about those benefits, those guys in the bushes, they are benefiting. They get people for ransom. When you sell your land, they come and give you. I even heard that in the part of Bui division and Gokutunja, they came there to say that if they went to each compound, if you have a child from the diaspora, 25,000, and if you have a child in Douala and Yaoundé, 10,000. That is what they are doing, to extort the people. Yes, those are the people benefiting. We should be able to call them. We should not be scared. Oh, so should we keep on singing how we get there rather than talking about peace to bring final peace?
Please, we have a second topic to discuss. Let us be brief. Yes, Mr. Njikang, how do we get out of this?
Mr. Leo, I remain firm on my stance.
That people should resign.
And Mr. Kedia said these people were elected, if at all they were elected. These parliamentarians from the Northwest and Southwest, we know how they got themselves there. And that is why they can't even go to meet the so-called people they are representing, because they never voted them. No elections took place there. Now, you talk of elites going back. Elites and traditional rulers who have been vomited by the people. You expect them to go back. Yesterday, a friend, listen.
Yeah, but if you say they have been vomited,
they have been vomited.
So why do you expect them to resign?
Now,
of what
I use an example of a stubborn he-goat. And I've given two historical instances, except you people don't get it.
Yeah, but
I've cited two historical instances. Ahijo used that against Mbida. Mbida fell. I said Mr. Bia gave ENS Marwa. And when the first batch of recruits, the Marwa, the Grand Nord they were not satisfied with the intake of children from that part of the country. Parliamentarians staged a walkout in the assembly, and Mr. Bia stood low, and his second concours was launched for these people. Let me tell you, there's one time one parliamentarian of blessed memory from Fako made a statement when she was interviewed, and she blatantly said she is a parliamentarian of the nation. That was 1 week before the parliamentarians from the north took the National Assembly hostage. And now, the next time she came back and she was asked, what happened? You see the way the parliamentarians forced from the north, they forced their ideology by concerted action. But because your people, and that's why I'm not missing words, the Anglophones don't want the Anglophone crisis to end because they're feeding fat from it. Nobody, I didn't give the people arms. I cannot go and tell them. The government knows. And the instance where problems, national issues are discussed is the National Assembly. Nowhere else. Let ministers parade, northwest, southwest, they're wasting their time. And whoever says there is peace in Cambe is telling a lie, is deceiving himself, because that is, a precarious peace. Mondays are respected nationwide in southern Cameroons as goes down. Yesterday, my friend went to bury the brother. 6:30, nobody goes from Kumba to Manfi. I mean, 6:30. The Amber boys have their blockade, the military have theirs. Nobody goes there. Then what do you tell me? That, okay, an elite from that area, how will he or she go and meet the people?
Okay. Now, let's get the last reaction from the Southwest Youth League President, Esua Kisito.
The elected officials of the states, talking about the senators and the parliamentarians, they should go back and organize community talk, sincere community talk from their communities at that grassroots days. And then, if possible, you can converge now at the national level after all this community conversation and reconciliations have been done. Bring everybody on board, whether the opposite camp, whichsoever camp that is having grudges, bring everybody on board. Let us talk and share ideas. Make it possible. The ground should be favorable. Nobody should feel that if I come out to talk, I'll be arrested. I think there should be perfect and total forgiveness. Then we sit as one people. Of course, I stand for a one Cameroon, because, before the Germans, when the Germans were in this country, there was no division in this country. Cameroon was just divided as a result of the First World War. So I have that opinion that Cameroon is one, because before, as I said, before the First World War, we were one under the Germans. So whether Francophones, whether Anglophones, we are one. We can solve our problems. We cannot rely on external bodies to come and solve our problems. I cannot remember the last time the United Nations solved a problem in any country in this world. So I think we Cameroonians can sit down, talk, forgive each other, recognize the fact that we hurt each other, and then from there we move on. So that's my only two contribution, and I think that if somebody somewhere is listening to us, it's my modest contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. Paddy, Asanga, your last word on this topic before we move to our second topic for tonight. You are saying that some persons are eating fat. How do we stop them from eating from this crisis so that the peace that we all cherish to come back?
Leo,
yes,
please permit me to respond to Mr. Njikang, because when I listen to Mr. Njikang, I think he's one of those persons who thinks that world drought will trigger on him. I'm sitting right here in Hamburg, Germany. I know what is happening here. I have on all fronts. I was one of the first person who took Tapang Ivor to court to shut him down because he went and said that I was a double agent. I have been reading the comments, and it doesn't make any sense to come and amuse the gallery on a very serious platform like this. The truth is this: there's going to be no part of Cameroon that will be called Ambazonia. I can tell you that, and they know it, and they have been saying it, but they are saying that they want a negotiated settlement because they have sent people's children in the bushes. Some have died, and they claim that because these children have died, they must be represented because these children took up arms in their names. We should recognize that. Now, moving forward, Mr. Leo, I have been a fervent critic of Mr. Biya's government. We have been also proposing solutions on the way forward. We have talked about the Anglophone General Conference, which I think, and it was aborted. We are moral guarantors of the national dialogue, and we are moral guarantors of the flow of committees of the national dialogue. I think that at this point in time, to end the bloodshed, and this is also an appeal to the government, that they should open the Pandora box for everybody to come on. And that pardon that was granted to Nigeria, that pardon that was granted to Foxes tomorrow, that pardon granted to all those boys who are living in the DDR should be granted to everybody who's living here in the diaspora in the name of a solution. Because, and I repeat, because they said the international community was going to come. When we went to the British Parliament, they told us something else. The German Parliament told us something else. European Union told us something else. And the American government granted a temporary refugee status to Cameroonians. And the same American government, the almighty America, in December or in the end of September, is going to convene and send some of those who call themselves Ambazonians in Chile. And they are already committed by the home. So, we have to look for ways. And I hope is to decide them is good, but politically we have to be tough. And that's why we said it's time for an Anglophone to be president of Cameroon. And when Mr. Biya's government, the hyper-centralized Jacob system, presents before candidate, we're going to present an Anglophone position. Present a Francophone, going to do it. It is time for us to write down and to consume the spirit of affairs. Those who came together and said they should be alternation of power, who sat in Fumban, and the spirit of and Tafawa Balewa. I would have been a Nigerian today, but I'm not a Nigerian. I'm a Cameroonian. I speak French. I speak broken French, broken English. So, where are we heading to go? I wanted to plant this declaration because I have my head on the line. There are people who want to cut my head because I have, but I've done it. And I'm saying that those of us of the Anglophone extraction, we should seize the opportunity. And if the Prime Minister's office doesn't keep to its policies, then are going to be.
Okay, Paddy, thank you very much. Paddy,
no. Leo, don't cut me. Please don't cut me, Leo. Please don't cut me. That is to say that they gave us some guarantees. I did not come to Cameroon to joke. And I'm telling everybody on this platform that if they keep to their promises, please, let's all there on that platform, on that Zoom conference, which we proposed, and they said they were going to put it in place, just like they guaranteed us that those who will move from the bush are not going to kill. Please, all of us go to that platform and come up with the consensus. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Paddy. We move straight to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with the CDC. Before we start discussing, can we listen to some CDC workers explain their plight to us this evening? Eli, can we? Okay.
What I want from the Cameroon government is to pay me. Pay my salary. Yes. Pay my arrears. Pay all of us. Okay, all the CDC workers. We are workers. We are not slaves. Please, we are begging the government to pay us. Let us send our children to school. That's all I want to say. Let them pay us. Thank you.
Fellow Cameroonians, fellow CDC workers, we have been suffering for long. I've worked all the estate in CDC. I came in as a player, a sport and leisure worker that was brought in by Jalakwan. I never knew this, how my end would be. I worked in Mukage, in Ewane, in Bonge, in Kompenya, in Pendamboko, in Mienja, in Kanef, and today I'm in Siko, in a medical and health service worker. No salary, no benefits, no health care. Nothing is being taken off as usual. Papa, we are crying for our salary. Not only salary, arrears unpaid, arrears in echelon. Leave is not being paid. Leave traveling allowance is not being paid. We need our money. The money is much for us to take care of our children. I have a total of 12 people in my house. I don't know the means to survive. We are workers. Yes, we have technical service. I'm a worker with CDC, Cameroon Development Corporation, working in the medical and health service department by name, Pepetu Afocha. I've worked for 23 years. I never knew this how CDC would become. I've put in my time. You cannot imagine I have 7 children, a salary of 25,000 francs. CDC is owing me for 30 months. They are able to pay me. I have 7 children with my mother. My mother is an IDP from Konye. Our house was burned due to this crisis. They are unable to pay me. How will my children go back to school? Cameroon government, I'm calling upon you people to stand by the CDC workers. We are a common CDC worker. We are crying for our salary. We need nothing from you people, Cameroon government, but our salary. Courts, we need your intervention. 30 months salary they are owing us. Arrears unpaid, salary unpaid, increment unpaid. Our children are about to go to school next month and they are paying us 1 month salary out of 30 months. What have they done? They are not helping our situation. They want us to go and join the voices, but we can never join them. Or we can never be part of them because it's not our mission. Our mission is for CDC to pay our salary. Please, the world should assist the workers of CDC to achieve their aim. We need nothing but our salary. If you happen to complain as an individual worker or as a common CDC worker, they will not pay our salary or instead stand to transfer you. They will start to transfer you because you have complained about your salary. It's our right to ask our salary. We are asking our salary because our money that we have put in, they have to pay us. That's why we are asking today that CDC should pay our money. Those who have complained about their salary have been transferred from Bota to Mukage, from Tiko to Pernambuco. So we don't have rights in our country to ask our salary. We have worked for it. I'm pleading the world, Cameroon at large, see the CDC common workers, how they are suffering. We have suffered enough. Enough is enough. We need our money. Thank you.
Today na 15th of August 2022. We are here to talk about the salary situation of CDC workers. We are aware that for quite some time we have not been taken our pay, we the CDC workers. Here we are in Ewane CDC. This is CDC camp. This is Ewane CDC camp where we are standing now. These are some of the workers. For quite some time, they have not been receiving pay. So we are here to find out from them whether actually how are they feeling, how are they coping with their life, and how are they working without receiving pay. Anybody they want to talk?
Yes, I have something to say. My country people, me and them be Superman. Grab and not even know book and not know me. Since when me I work me for government, so they go run. Now how many money we see continue to push all the work? money you only they see. All my hand also the run boss. But we still push us to make the work they go on. My brother, when I became local, so picking them. See, all man, no man not even get salary. No, nothing they need to give me. They carry some book and give me you. I don't even know me that book again. I don't know how to read that book because the book over top my head. They say 200,000, 300,000. I never be owed me 200,000 for my life since I did working series work. I beg you, now sorry for we. Now sorry for me. Even at 50,000, I still I don't 50,000 my hand. I don't end me. I don't give me no check. I fit talk me. I go call me the man bag for bush.
Okay. We have done a series of programs here with the objective of looking at ways for CDC to be saved because they're in a very, very difficult situation. They cannot pay workers because the money is required to do that is not there. But we also understand that there are other structures, government structures in Cameroon that receive huge sums as subventions to help them. We understand that to actually carry out the activities in the southwest region is difficult because of the ongoing crisis. Why is it difficult to make this a priority?
Mr. Leo, permit me first of all begin by congratulating the team of my Media Prime that went down to the field to sample the opinions of the people. So much such I should not be that we sat in Douala and we're discussing because we listened to their plight. I think that from what I read, they are demanding 28 months of unpaid salaries, and we've listened to them. The first thing is that, Mr. Liu, the CDC, if my facts be intact, is the second largest employer after the government. Now, we are talking about people. When you listen to them, they are saying that school is remaining few weeks and they don't know how they are going to do with their children. We have seen the government, because you asked me a very good question, Mr. Leo, the government could still extend its hands elsewhere. The government has several sources of income. The government could sacrifice a priority of other different groups, different enterprises, different civil servants, and see to it that these people are paid their salaries. Permit me tell you that, Mr. Leo, I grew up in Mile 16 and I saw the condition of these CDC workers. It's not easy, it's deplorable. There are people who go do what they are doing and come back, they have earned 600 francs for the whole day. And now they are not asking for 200,000 as a salary. When you hear most of them even saying we want our salary, you may be thinking that it's something close to 500 to 600 or even 200. If you want to look at it, maybe it's something of 100, 150, 60 or it's 50,000 francs. I think that it's time for the government to extend its hand. But now I have a major problem with this thing because, Mr. Liu, this is not the first time the CDC workers are demanding for this. The last time I remember some of them were picked out to hold a discourse with the Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote, which was done. And I don't know whether envelopes exchanged hands within the few who went to represent a majority and it died a natural death. We are seeing them come up again. And from what I read, 20 of them, signatories, 20 of them, sent a petition to the Prime Minister demanding that they want their salaries paid. And my fear is that these 20 people could still be invited at the Prime Minister's office. And at the end of the day, they went to represent a group of people. And once they come back, the story dies and they may still come back. So I think that my Media Prime has taken the pains, the energy and resources to go top down with these people. The government is listening because those in Yaoundé are listening to us. It's time they take to consideration the plight of these people. They are parents. When you listen to a woman tell you, I've worked in this place for close to 18, one said 23 years. 23 years is not 23 days, neither is it 23 weeks. It means that where she is, she has no other source of income but the CDC. Now, when you cannot pay her, how does she send her children to school? When you cannot pay her, it's very true that with the CDC at times they give them these calm houses where they hardly pay. But now, she has to send her children to school. So I think it's time, Mr. Leo, that the government, if the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, could cough out billions of francs CFA and give to Muslim pilgrims. I'm not saying that Muslim pilgrims are not important without stigmatizing any religion. Give them, I think it was 2 billion francs CFA to support them and facilitate them travel out of the country. The President of the Republic could still disburse money. Okay, I'm ordering We saw when teachers were on strike, Mr. Liu, there was a letter that came from the president that went through the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Mutaze, that went to the man of Joseph Lay, that went to Joseph Lay, that has to do with administrative reforms, I think something like that. I'll collect it before the end of the program. Now, you saw that the president sees a Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance sees both ministries, basic, secondary, higher. And it now comes to Joseph Lee. So it was a whole collective game. So I think that the head of state, whom I'm sure should be listening to us, or somebody is listening, should tell him that the people have a problem. Let him take to consideration the same way he took for the teachers, the same way he took for the Muslim pilgrims. The people are dying. We are 2 weeks to back to school. It is time that I don't know where the source of the income will come from. If money came to send teachers back to school, those of CDC are crying. Okay. They need money. It is time that the head of state too comes in and authorizing the different ministries, because here we are talking about finance, because Louis-Paul Mutaze is concerned.
The Ministry of Agriculture.
And Agriculture, thank you, Mr.
Yes, very difficult situation for the company to survive, because once the workers are not there, how do you even operate?
Those are some of the effects of the ongoing crisis, which we actually have been praying and putting a lot of effort for this crisis to come to an end. Mm. It is sad to see a person talking about not having salary for more than a year or two. I ask myself how they are coping. I know the living standard of those camps, and imagining that they have not been paid for this period of time actually is unfair. And it is much more unfair that when they come to decry the situation like this, and some of them are being transferred to interior areas, it makes it much more unfair. But the truth also is that if their salary is being owed for about 1 year and some months, and we know this crisis is getting to 6 months, it is clear that their salary also have been paid progressively, but not on time. Because of the crisis, they should understand that the crisis is there, and things will definitely not move smoothly the way all of us we hoped. And calling the government to come to their aid is their legitimate right. It's the government, they elected the government and have right to turn to their government to ask for subvention or assistance in this their difficult moment. And I think that one of the aspects which is supposed to be done by their workers' trade union, my advice is that their workers' trade union, they have a president, all of them, they should have a team and meet the prime minister, so that all of them, their children, first of all one, may have the opportunity to go to school before they are waiting for their salaries. They should ensure that they meet the regional delegate of secondary education, and thank God secondary education, the minister is a Bakwere woman that I believe will understand more, is an origin of the Anglophone region and knows the crisis. They should approach these people, because their children must go to school first before any negotiation on how their salary is supposed to be paid. The children must first of all go to school. And secondly, I also want them to collaborate also with their children, because when we talk about those that have picked up arms, they are our brothers and sisters, they are our children. If they are complaining, for instance, in a village, that they can't work there because of the separatist fighters, but we know that from those villages, the separatist fighters of those villages are based in those villages. So they also should work together with the government, work together with their own children that have picked up arms, so that the situation might come to an end.
Okay, Mr. Njikang, we need some coordinated efforts to lobby for the plight of the CDC workers to be looked into.
Mr. Liu, I want to hang straight fervently on the topic. Mm-hmm. Why is the CDC not given due attention? Mm-hmm. If I should ask you, by who? Good. The answer is simple. The government, the CDC, is one of those Anglophone colonial heritages that, since its inception, had been manned by Anglophones. Why did the government intervene when Sonara caught fire? because the government is benefiting directly from the Sonara. And that's why when you go to Limbe, it is more of a Francophone zone than an Anglophone zone. Because the government is benefiting directly from Sonara. And that is why, when Sonara went into crisis, the government reacted with billions. Now, the CDC is peripheral. It is just like we have the Limbe seaport. Just like we had the abandoned international airport in Tico. We have, in short, Mr. Leo, it tallies with the first topic. You know, the problem here is the government does not see any benefits from the CDC. And that's why no attention is given to it.
What do you mean by they don't see? CDC brings in a lot of foreign...
it benefits, CDC brings in, for instance,
so much
CDC employs, if you look at the workers of the CDC, 95% are Anglophones. So it is found in an Anglophone zone. It has been manned from inception by Anglophones till date. But look at the Sonara. One director said he owes explanation only to the president.
No, we are talking about CDC.
Now, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it is because the government doesn't see the CDC is a purely Anglophone issue. And that's why the government is careless about it. All right? Now, they will say boys in the bushes. Yes. Will the boys in the bushes block subvention that the government can give to the CDC workers to pay, to the CDC administration to pay its workers? Will the boys in the bushes block that? Not at all, Mr. Leo. We should look at the issues in the face squarely and address them the way they are. My brother Kedia talks about that thank God there's an Anglophone minister of secondary education. She can grant some concession for these people's children to go to school. Mr. Kedia, who had been very vivid in resolving the Anglophone crisis, has forgotten the internally displaced people as a result of the crisis, who do not even have what to eat. Okay. He has not said anything concerning their children going back to school. He's hanging on the CDC workers. Thank God it is part of the game. But my problem is the government does not see anything she gains from the CDC. The government has abandoned the CDC because it is like any other project that concerns the Anglophones.
Okay. Paddy Asanga, I don't know your reaction. How... Hello, Paddy, are you there? Okay, seemingly... okay, Paddy is there. Paddy, I want... we are looking at government's intervention as far as saving the CDC is concerned. How much concern have we as Anglophones given to the situation as far as the CDC is concerned? Have we shown the love? Have we shown the concern to see CDC survive as Anglophones?
Mr. Leo, I've listened to all your panelists, and contrary to all what they have said, I'm going to shock you.
Okay.
Because CDC, there are people who left all regions, all villages, all nooks and crannies of the northwest, southwest to concentrate where in Limbe, Boya, where you had the Cameroon Development Corporation. And that's where the notion of Kamno came about. But at this point in time, I understand what is going on. And when people come and sit here and they don't want to speak the truth, the first target of these scavengers who are sitting here in the diaspora was the CDC. And you heard they struck some deals to make sure that they either crumble the CDC or send boys to go and attack the CDC. But contrary to these boys who carry guns, those innocent workers, those people who are fending for their family, they don't have guns. When the military went out and marched, you did not see that problem was solved. When there was OTS on an etro that problem was solved. And I think that the CDC workers, they have the right to stand up and say, pay us. if you can find money to satisfy the teachers, if you can find money to satisfy the military who took to the streets, if you can find money to pay people like Success in Congo, Nambere, and all those boys who are taking their guns, then you must find money to pay people who just want to live from their sweat and their labor. That's what I'm trying to say right here. And I think that the government can borrow from wherever it can borrow, because there is no government in the world that is not indebted. And this problem can be resolved in no time, just in case there is somebody has not embezzled that money. You know, we are fighting for people like Continue who were champagne about when he was champagne about things were moving fine. And today we have our poor brothers and sisters who are workers of CDC clamoring for their salaries. I'm happy that it's not 6 years, but it's just less than 2 years. And the government should go and borrow from where it has been borrowed to pay these people to take care of their children. If not, they are going to radicalize and will get those things workers. We have suffered enough on and they throws to fair. Both us, CDC workers. So, the government of Mr. Bia and his Prime Minister, John Bute, they should find means and ways to give money and pay CDC workers who have risked their life in the face of all this nonsense that have happened here. But we know that has been collected by scavengers who are sitting here in the diaspora. There is a core relationship between what's happening there, what this scavengers, like my basket, like myself, fake wannabe politicians have done that these people find themselves in that situation. But we got into that situation because of an incompetent, hyper-centralized system of government. And I think that they can resolve that situation and do it with immediate effect. Thank you, Mr. Leo.
Thank you very much, Paddy. Asanga, let's take another listen to some workers from some of the camps out there working for the CDC.
Today, on 15th of August 2022, we are presently at Ewane CDC camp, and we are here to talk about the workers' situation. We are here to talk about the salary situation of workers, whom the workers have not been receiving pay for quite some time. We want to really find out from them, whether is it true that they have not been receiving payment or is frame up. Good evening, Pa.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Are you a CDC worker?
Yes, sir.
Yes. We understand CDC is not paying. Is this true?
Very, very true.
Yes. And concerning the situation of the salary, what have you to say?
Well, we don't be for quite some time. During the heart of the crisis, 2018, the whole of this were estate. We down, so we did hunt out. So actually, we can start work effectively from 8th of January 2021. We worked throughout that period. They can give you small advances for about 3 months. After which they just start to accumulate our pay, push out. They can give you some letters of indebtedness, and they promise to say soon as they will pay. Till then, we know the year or nothing. And that was it's not been a part. We don't even ask the balance part. When the balance part even plenty past the one which we can give you as the number of months. They never to give you that part. And now as at the top. If you calculate what actual work done, who don't work, that's from that January 2021 till now. They owe you now areas for payment, actual work done, and 9 months today. So at the moment, we know as we cry now, so they will come back and give you sometime 1 month, and some of us will not be able for even take 25,000. We don't know how to do.
Yes, but you get picking the way they go school.
Yes.
Then how they do for pay they begin their school fee when they receive a regular salary?
As you see me as 10 years old with the collage, my job I come out. We just manage to work on small job them. For people their farms, they travel, end up they live in bed. I swear when you talk about school, I doubt how I go manage because I'm not going to pick now again with at the age of primary school.
Yes.
Say for the end of they just believe they see go meet school. Just the transportation. I know things in 1 month, if they give me even a 4 months salary in transport.
Okay. Yes, that's what we are living out there. But the government needs to do something. Do you also think that some groups need to add their voices? We talked about the elites themselves. Why can the elites of the Anglophone elites not look into the situation of the CDC workers?
The truth is that, Mr. Leo, the CDC...
It comes back to pressuring for something to be done.
Yeah,
but if the workers are not there, CDC cannot function.
Sure. Mr. Leo, CDC is one of those biggest sector that is crumbling in the English region. We know of palm oil to Indian. Those are areas that are also dying. And then it's time we actually conserve or preserve what is actually ours. And I think that when you listen to them, there is need for not only the government, because at times when somebody who matters gives the word, we have elites in these areas where these people are working who could also like maybe, because Mr. Leo, the truth is in all aspects, I think you asked Mr. Njikang the question about lobbying, that is there an aspect of lobbying. The truth is that we have persons who have access to even the Prime Minister on phone, who come from this area. We have persons who could get even to Joseph Lee, that is the person who is in charge of works and other aspects. Now, I feel that it's time that those who actually matter in the Northwest and the Southwest could get to these elites and actually paint a picture. Maybe from what we have here, maybe they could collect 2 or 3 excerpts and say, Mr. Prime Minister, this is a reality. Because at times when you look at certain things that are happening in Cameroon, Mr. Liu, we are tempted to say that maybe those who matter don't know. Let us pretend they don't know. So it is time for the elites who are concerned, most particularly because this is taking place in the Southwest. It's time for those who are concerned to actually maybe collect some of the samples of these people, because what your man did there, which I'm encouraging the team very much, is a vox pop where the people actually decried, they are complaining. Now you could hear them. When you hear a person saying that, school can't start, no know me. As you see, we call us a job, come on a job. Huh? And a job in this kind of an area is a job that will be paid maybe 1,500 or 2,000 francs. Because I've had the opportunity to meet some of these areas and I understand what it means. So it's time that the Anglophone population, most particularly those from the Southwest, actually lobby. I think that we saw elites from Libya meet in Mountain Hotel. I think it should be yesterday or a day after, and they were looking at the socio-economic boom of this area. And it's time that they should also maybe in their resolutions also maybe put up that, okay, Mr. Prime Minister, one of the things that are also crumbling in this part of the country, the Southwest, is the fact that the CDC that used to be a very major factor so far as the employment is concerned is dying down. And when you look at those who are speaking there, Mr. Liu, the impression I have as an individual is that they don't have an option. If I told they have an option, they will not be where they are. It's just that because when you listen to somebody who's worked for 23 years, 23 years is not 23 years, Mr. Leonard. If you work for my media brand for 23 years, then it's synonymous to already building. It's just like your feet are into the ground, that living is difficult. So a woman who has worked in an area for 23 years and you listen to her lament, she has nowhere she can go to.
Okay.
She's looking to the powers that be and she's crying. And that is why I want to use this medium, Mr. Leo, to call on the powers that be, most particularly the elites of the Northwest, particularly those of the Southwest. That you've listened to your brothers in the Southwest cry. And this is a collection, like Paddy Asanga said, the CDC is a collection of those who come from the Northwest and the Southwest. Please, elites from the Northwest and the Southwest, our brothers who are working for the CDC, they are suffering. 28 months without a salary. It's time that those who matter should listen to their plan.
Mr. Leo, greetings to the entire panel. My worry is the way CDC land is carved out as layouts to villages. I think this is a strategy by the system to weaken this part of the country. Reducing the land means reducing production and manpower. CDC should be expanding in its surface area. General managers of CDC don't have power to really manage CDC without interference from the state. Good evening to you, Mola Gobi, writing there from Boya. Glad to read from you. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for the great work. Thank you. Greetings, great initiative by Media Prime. May government heed to the plight of the CDC. CDC's wealth is on the plantation, so security is paramount for workers to effectively return to work, produce and conveniently pay her workers. Dr. Melanie is writing from Limbe. Yes, that is also one issue, security. Can the CDC not be spared from what is ongoing so that they can effectively cultivate and then keep the company running?
No, the issue is that other companies like Sonara and the rest could have good security because of their size and the kilometers of the area. But you look at CDC is very, very large.
The plantations,
yes,
yep.
Plantation is very, very large. We can't say we can put security in all those areas. So actually, that can really go. But I think
but can the separatists themselves, can they not spare the CDC?
That is one of the wickedness of the mind of those guys that you see Paddy, Asanga talking about that is wicked. You realize, sorry to say I'll call him, you realize somebody like Tato Eric, he was the one that came out and said everyone working in CDC, the hand must be chopped off, limbs cut off, and we saw them happening 2017 and 18. So it's the agenda that they decided to send boys there so that these people we are seeing crying now should go through this pain and suffering. And some of us were asking that putting the people through this pain, through this hardship, will it actually give them that independence? And many were saying that no, we are close to the government, we have interest, that's why we are supporting that when these people don't go to work in the plantation, they have no pay, the government will hear their complaint. And that's where we are today. The plantation now is being destroyed. These very people don't have jobs, they don't have salary, and our kid brothers and kid sisters can't go back to school because of the hardship. And we should be honest to say the separatist fighters are the cause, and those in the diaspora that promoted them. However, my own main issue looking at the case is that I don't know how organized these people are with their various presidents, and to know how many of their children are in secondary school, how many are in primary school. If I could have that information and had the possibility to meet some of these presidents, I would definitely accept to make a delegation with some of them and go to Yaoundé and meet the Prime Minister and those that matter, so that
you take them to the
but the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister has been receiving trade unionists.
Yes, yes.
No, I'm talking about something different. There's a crisis. There are trade unions. There are problems. I'm talking about these children to go to school. That's my point. I'm talking about
and what Mr. Louis is saying, which I said before,
they have been meeting the Prime Ministers, they have been writing their complaint to the President. But I'm talking about before that solution to, before solving their problem, how they can have jobs, how security could be put in CDC so that they can have their job and have their salary. What happened to these children? They need to go to school.
The last time
it's a fundamental human right.
Their salaries were not paid.
I am not talking about salaries here being paid.
If salaries are paid, they will send their children to school.
And even if salaries are not paid, these children need to go to school. And Mr. Leonard, we should not mix this thing up. They are going to meet the Prime Minister because of their salaries. They want it to be paid. Assuming that they don't even have salary, they are not supposed to be paid. Their children need to go to school.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Njikang. The short term, what should be done?
Mr. Leo, the CDC workers are not the only victims of the Anglophone crisis. Like I made mention a while ago, we have internally displaced. I ponder on how these guys who send their children to school, they are even worse than the CDC workers, because the CDC workers, the government can subvent. If the government subvention comes in, they'll be paid. But now they're internally displaced. What become of them?
We'll do a program. We'll do a program on them next week.
Sometime the boss of territorial administration used to parade himself, going to meet the tele displays, whatever, and so on and so forth. But the thing has died in natural death till date. Now, coming to the CDC, my brother.
Short term.
The short term, the government knows the amount of subvention she is entitled to give to CDC workers, to CDC. Let that subvention come around. That's the only thing. Let this government subvention come and even be increased. The Prince made mention of the head of state giving, some religious groups money.
2 billion francs.
I mean, we need this gesture.
To facilitate their travel to...
We need this gesture to the CDC workers. Please, the Prime Minister, please, Mr. President, citizens are in danger. They have been working for 2 years, 20-something months without pay. Sir, the President, come to their aid. Because even if they start working today, the timber, the cocoa, the rubber, the palm nut will not grow overnight, and then they start harvesting, and then the economy comes to normal. Let government subvention come first, and let these people be paid to the least month.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Nice program you have there. I'm so delighted you are using your platform to address the plight of CDC workers, Mr. Liu. What worries me a lot is that I have actually heard 2 of the workers mentioning 25,000 francs as a monthly payment. I think that assertion is somewhat corroborated. Mr. Liu, I'm so disappointed hearing this amount, knowing fully well that the minimum payment wage in Cameroon is about 38,000. Okay, what is going on? For Bella Clinton is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu and your guests. Let the truth be said. What CDC needs is a change at the hem, okay? Mola is writing from Limbe. This one says, some CDC worker says they want to do more interviews and send. We are going to do another program, not today, please. We are going to do another program for that. Good evening, Mr. Liu. You were supposed to include PAMOL in this debate. The problems of these 2 state institutions is lack of political will. There is money in this country. Yes, I feel bad. I feel bad hearing about PAMOL because my father worked for PAMOL itself. I was born in Lobe. Good evening, Mr. Kung. I am very happy that Paddy Asanga put his name basket mouth because I thought that as he came to Cameroon last week to come to the violation of the national day law. Okay, Roger is writing for Moyuka. You are this thing. Your message is not too clear. Greetings, Mr. Leo. It is saddened to know that CDC workers have gone for about 28 months without payment. I'm even shocked that the salary is even 25,000 francs. The question is, what is the minimum wage in Cameroon? Okay, everyone is blaming CDC and government for not paying workers, but no one is talking about the root cause of CDC downfall, which is amber terrorism. Shame on them. Good evening to you. I'm sure we've spoken about that. Paddy Asanga raised the issue, and Kedia said something on that. Good evening, Mr. Liu and all the panelists in the house. It's a shameful thing to be bragging CDC is the second largest employer in Cameroon after the government, but are unable to pay workers for years. Secondly, is the amount that they are paying the workers is too small. 25,000 is too small to be a salary. Charles is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Charles. We are out of time, but I think we're going to be coming back on this CDC topic. Thank you for coming.
Thank you immensely, Mr. Leonard, for being the voice of the voiceless. You took your microphone right down to CDC so the people could voice their plight. Permit me use this opportunity to send a special good evening to the peace-loving people of Mukage subdivision, the land of milk and honey that has also had its own sad taste of the Anglophone crisis.
Okay, thank you too for coming, Robert.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be a special greeting to the head of state, the father of the republic, the guarantor of national security and peace in the country, President Paul Biya.
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you all in the studio. Really like the program. Let's keep letting them know what is needful. Writing from Boya. Thank you for coming, Mr. Moses.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, fellow panelists, for the heated debate. I want to say that Cameroonians or Anglophones have different tendencies as far as their plight is concerned. There are people for unitary states, there are those for federation, and there are those for secession. Now, I cannot prime my own opinion, because I wish federation, on others. What can prime is when a referendum is conducted in this country for the right, for a decision to be taken by Anglophones, and that is when we shall know this is what the Anglophones need. No meeting, as far as I'm concerned.
Good evening to you all. What a great job, Mr. Liu, and I pray that the sky is your limit. Your program is very educative or deductive. Mr. Liu, the love for one another in this country is no more there. People cry means nothing to others. Let this be these workers. This country has money, but only some particular people seem to be enjoying this money. The CDC lands are becoming new layouts day by day. This country is being killed by the same people we look up to. Wise man Ari is writing from a corner. We want to thank you too, Paddy Asanga.
Yes, I'm suspecting that you're talking to me. The volume was not very good, but I want to use your platform to say that those workers of the CDC, they're right, and that's the right way to reivindicate, to come out, speak out, and put your plight. And I'm very proud of those CDC workers, and who will pick up their fight, like we picked up the fight at Dikolo. They should be paid. Their reivindications are legitimate, and they should rather reivindicate the way they are reivindicating than pick up guns and be chopping the hands and fingers of school children or their bosses. So this is the way to reivindicate, and I think that they are on the right track. We need them alive. We need them to continue doing what they are doing, and we think that with your program, their voices will be listened to and their reivindications will be attended to. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me.
I'm really enjoying Mr. Njikang Moses today in the program. Is indeed sincere. Thank you for inviting him over. Margaret is writing. We want to thank you all for watching. The production team, thank you. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.